Welcome to the Dino Dome. Today we're going to do a Hell Correct style. I'll throw a link in the description or maybe to one of his Gaslands videos. We're taking Gaslands outside, which presents some filming difficulties in terms of weather and microphones and rando strangers wandering by. So instead of a full-blown video, we're going to have to take this a little bit easier. Before we get into the Dino Dome, we should talk about these vehicles. They are very big. The pipes you see in the background there, those are the feet of the playground. It's a dinosaur-shaped jungle gym. We'll show you that in a second. Let's take a look at, here we go. So we got some templates that we made up, just made out of cardboard, and here's a good shot of the yellow Suburban and the Mars or Bust silver pickup truck. That's what we're taking out into the wilds. And as we go through the race, it's going to be a simple rally race, and we'll talk about that in a second. First, I want to show you the course, so you can see our cars down here in the lower left-hand corner. And as we zoom through the course, we're going to whip around. The first corner here is a fairly tight left-hand corner. You can proceed to either the left or the right of that building. Right there, barely visible in chalk, is the second gate. And then this is the home stretch coming back along across the starting line. And then over here to the bench where you can see the chalked out finish line. Nice and easy. Here's a shot of the whole thing as it stands. You can see it's a dinosaur jungle gym. If you do decide to do a game like this, don't put your race course underneath the monkey bars. Kids will run by and they'll see what you're doing and they want to be a part of it. They'll start swinging above and you got to either chase them off, which is kind of a jerk move, get out of the playground, I'm using it, or you just have to accept that one of your buildings is going to get stepped on. You know, people come down to the playground and they just let their kids run wild, and it just makes things complicated. So you may want to do this in your yard. It does make things easier. We'll talk a little bit more at the end about my experience with the general public. And for now, let's just go ahead and go back to the starting line. We are looking at 4 vehicles, 3 pickup trucks and a performance car. The bright blue Corvette is obviously a performance car. He has 2 machine guns in the front that don't get a whole lot of action today. The yellow Suburban has 2 machine guns in the front. It's got 1 machine gun in the turret. Oh, the 2 machine guns in the front are actually classed as a single heavy machine gun. He needs that for room, so he's got room for the turret. It's just 1 machine gun there, and then he's got a smoke dropper as well. The silver pickup truck on the left has a ram plate, 2 machine guns in the front, and I think that's it. And then the pickup truck in the back with the sound system, he's got the big gun, the 125 millimeter cannon. That is mounted on a turret, and he also has, I think that's it. That's all we could afford. So, no, somebody's got a mine dropper too. I think he's got a mine dropper. It doesn't show up, but it's in there. One of the things I do is based on the cost of the vehicle, you get to pick your spot. So the performance car actually picked the outside line and the early stage of this race. Now, the other thing I should point out is that the greenish kind of rubberized mat, that is classed as pavement. So we're going to see a lot of re-rolls on the skid dice, particularly early on. Not a whole lot of excitement. The weapons are not hot just yet. So our trucks kind of zoom off, and because of the size and the scale, they do have a little bit of separation as the car vehicles are off by a couple of degrees. But even here, when we're down into like 3rd or 4th gear, you can see it's just every man for himself. They're all taking it easy. They're all in 4th gear, so they're just using those medium move templates. Finally, Mr. Blue gets to kind of make a couple of extra moves. He is up into 6th gear, and he is cruising around that first corner, taking it wide, taking it nice and easy. Our pickup trucks have a bit of a pile-up as they start turning into each other, trying to make that first corner. Nobody's close enough to make a ram attack here, and if we look at the big gun coming around the corner, even he just barely misses out. So they're all taking it fairly conservative. Blue goes first, and you can see he's crossed the first weapons hot, pole position shifts. He offers it to the guy with the big gun, and the big gun is able to kind of keep pace with the yellow. Now here we have our first slide, and that silver truck is going to start building up his hazards as he hits that first black area that is full, that is going to cost him some additional hazard dice. But he did manage to get just across the first line, so his weapons are hot. And the yellow Suburban decides he's going to whip around to the left. He's going to take it He's going to take a slightly different line. The performance car is way out ahead. He's out of range. The only hope that the yellow Suburban is going to have is to cut him off at the pass. So he takes the sharper line, and that leaves the big gun free to tailgate and come right up the tailpipe of Mars or Bust. And he starts thumping away with that big gun. He doesn't leave any chances to fire left behind. At this point, I should point out that I really need to get myself a set of the North Star dice. I'm using the regular pip dice, and just as a general Gaslands, I tend to think in terms of hazards, roll of 1, and 4 ups. And if I can keep my hazards low, then I'm doing well. So I'm not really making the best use of the skids and slides as I could. Blue is just cruising around with the gentle curves in 4th gear through this upper part of the game. If he was in 5th or 6th gear and he was taking advantage of handbraking, he probably would already have crossed the 2nd checkpoint, and that might have made a difference in the game. But no ramming to speak of so far. I think we might see a little bit of bumper-on-bumper action from the big gun, but he's still blazing away at the Mars or Bust. You can see that with the shorter line, the yellow Suburban now is going to head off blue, and he's going to cross that 2nd checkpoint and do a hairpin turn. But before that happens, we have another big shot with the big gun, and that 2, 4, 6, 7 points of damage with 2, 4, 6, 7, 9 damage, of which a whole 7 is blocked. Still isn't going to be enough. He didn't ram him. He's just shooting away. And with that, the Mars or Bust just doesn't have any more damage left. I think the yellow Bourbon lit him up for a couple of points of damage too, and he wrecks. So first car out of the race. The big gun is now out of wiggle room. He's got 5 or 6 hazards, and he is in trouble. Here you see the yellow Suburban is actually going to be the first one to cross that 2nd line. He does do the hairpin turn. He crosses the 2nd, and he is looking in good shape. The green truck here, we got our Ram. He is cut off by the wreckage, and he's going to have to make a slam attack. Slows him down, which pays off in the end. He does manage to sneak on by in the next round, and now it's just a one-on-one. You can see because of the shorter line, the yellow car, the yellow Suburban now, is actually in pole position. He's a little bit ahead. He's a little bit closer. Stuck in 4th gear as a pickup truck, that's going to cause him to slow down, and blue is now rocketed up to 5th or 6th gear. That long template is both a blessing and a curse, as we'll see shortly. There it is, the long template. He's going to take a ram. Slowing down because of the wreckage actually pays off. The green truck with the big gun is going to be able to deliver the T-bone instead of taking it. Thanks to some quick driving, the performance car only takes 1 point of damage. Here also I should point out that I had a friend swing by, a new friend, Elijah. He was only 6 years old, very fascinated by the cars, and he was very helpful. I was able to kind of sit back by the control panels and tell him, yeah, put this panel over there. You know, I'm an old man. I got almost 50-year-old knees, so crawling around in this. Wear long pants. I wouldn't recommend wearing shorts for something like this. I do have the red knees to prove it the next day. And he enjoyed kind of a little too complicated for a 6-year-old, but he got the gist of what we were doing. And you tell him what dice to roll, you tell him how to add it up. He enjoyed it. So here's another big ram. Like I said, 1 point of damage for the performance car. And big mistake. Forgot that the performance car should have taken an extra turn. With that extra activation, what's going to happen as they're running down the stretch here is that the yellow Suburban is going to use his 1 machine gun. And he's just going to keep plinking away. Just 1 or 2 points. 1 or 2 points at the performance car. With the extra activation, performance car might not have been in range. And he does get to buy himself a little bit of extra time because that building there on the left-hand side of your screen is going to cut off a couple of attacks. He does take one more shot from the guy with the big gun before the next gear phase where he does finally manage to slip away from the range. And I remembered, oh, hey, let's do a little bit of spin there. That puts him on a better line towards the finish line. But just as he does so, the field of fire opens up for the Suburban. He's going to be able to use that turret. And you can see he's in range. He fires off. And with the 3 points of damage and no dodges. The short template that you see in front of the Corvette is the wreck template. He's going to wipe out. He will detonate. He blows up to no damage whatsoever, and now the yellow Suburban has an open line. At this point, a little bit of a crowd had formed. Fortunately, one piece of advice I've got for you as we head down the stretch and take a look at the point of view of the guy with the big gun who's way too far out of range. I had a bouncer nearby. I had put a ring on her finger a few years ago. The lovely, charming wife was able to kind of deflect. As people come by with their toddlers in particular, toddlers go, "Yeah, trucks, we're playing trucks." And they'll run over and they'll throw their trucks down, and you kind of smile and kind of nervous. Please don't touch my... These vehicles didn't take a long time, 20, 30 minutes a piece, but they're not suitable for 3-year-olds who want to grab them and yeet them. Fortunately, everyone that came by was very understanding that, this guy is playing with his big toys, and they kind of kept their kids at enough of a distance. They brought their trucks over, and, that didn't work. All right, we're going to go. Then you stop and you chat, but give yourself some extra time. That's the first piece of advice that I have for you if you're going to do this kind of game. The other thing that I would recommend is get yourself some clipboards as we hit the finish line. Wind is going to be an issue. Bear in mind when sundown is. Unfortunately for me, I was out there while, other family members were doing other things, so I had a hard time limit. I was in a bit of a hurry, couldn't talk to the people that came by as much as I would have liked to. Give yourself an extra hour. You're in an open-air convention setting. People are going to come by. What are you doing? It's going to take 10 minutes. Made it a little bit hard for me to keep track. 4 cars in Gaslands is maybe a little bit too much for me, except under the ideal conditions. When you're out in the wind and a little bit of rain came by, just, kind of spitting on me, but enough to make me nervous, and trying to not be a jerk and tell people, would you just buzz off? I'm trying to play a game here. But taking the 5 minutes and you're out of the game and you're explaining, oh yeah, these templates move and here's the thing, and it's a whole thing. And then you got to get back into the flow. And so bring enough guys, right? It's not my turn. Hey, can you deal with these people? So that's the other thing. And you want to be friendly, because some of the guys out there in YouTube land are all freaked out about, it's the death of the wargaming hobby and we got to do it. Here you go, guys. Right here. You want to take your hobby out into the world? This is how you do it. People are fascinated by this. They see it's something vaguely familiar, but there's mysterious stuff going on, and they want to know a little bit more about it. They want to know if it's something their kids would be good at. Elijah came by, like I said. He helped me out. He's good with the templates. You kind of help him along a little bit. You make some new friends. His mother was very charming, and she was very grateful to have somebody showing some one-on-one time and kind of showing him. She had actually expressed that, he loves strategy games, loves Stratego. I was like, this kid is going to be a war gamer. I gotta try to, to let him know that there's all this stuff out there. And even if he doesn't think about it for 10 years, when he's 18 years old, he may go, man, I remember that one day in the park, the guy showed me the greatest game ever. I got to look that up. I don't remember what it was called, but something about car battles. He may be walking by a game store sometime and go, I know what that is, and walk in, and hey, you've planted the seed. And that's the big thing, right? You plant the seed in the minds of other people. And I was more than willing to teach people, hey, you want to jump in? Of course, it's a playground. So most people are there with their kids. They got other things going on. They got their own battles to fight. But if you're at a barbecue, if you're at a park where people are wandering by and they want to roll a few dice and you just kind of show them a little bit, great way to take the hobby out. And one more thing I'll point out. If you are not allowed to meet in any appreciable numbers in any kind of indoor setting, if you're used to gaming at the game shop, and for whatever reason, now it's 2021, so I think we all know what the big reason is, you're not allowed to do this, but you want to get together with friends, and the government says, well, you can get together with 25 people as long as you're outside. Here you go. You're worried about, if you're freaked out because you think you need to distance yourself socially from people, you have an entire field that you can use to keep your distance from people. Here is your solution. Spend $20 on some giant cars, throw together some cheap buildings, Flip over some cardboard boxes even. One thing I would recommend is build a couple of checkpoint templates at least out of like MDF or fiberboard or something. That would go a long ways. Play in the grass. Use the trees as obstacles. Maybe even go down to the beach. I don't know about that one. But if you've got a beach that's suitable for this, this is a great way to game when you don't have any place to game for whatever reason. I'm going to show you in a future video how exactly what vehicles I used, exactly what materials I used, and how you can build your own Mega Gaslands game set. Until next time, as always, I'm praying for you.